therapists, how can you spot them? It's not always easy. I'm not talking about therapists that are flagrantly bad, like ones that criticize you or make sexual advances to you, like I've had sex with my therapist. I'm not talking about those that are easy to spot, those bad therapists. I'm talking about therapists that are hard to spot. They seem really caring, empathic. They give us what we want. When we go to therapy, we're often at our lowest point in life. We've suffered pain and trauma from our past. Maybe we've had childhood abuse or abuse when we were older from people in our lives, physical, sexual, verbal, emotional. We've suffered loss. Maybe we've lost someone dear to us who we loved. We're in a crisis. We're depressed or anxious. Or maybe we feel hopeless and feel like life isn't worth living anymore. We're pretty low, and we're putting our trust in the hands of someone that could severely harm us. And this has happened to me over and again in my therapies, where I put my trust in the hands of very abusive therapists. And I've talked about that in countless other videos. But this video is a little different because it's not going to be about those therapists that make sexual advances with us, that have sex with us like Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲 did with me for 2 years, or who sexually exploited us, like putting a dog collar around me and pulling me by a leash like Dr. 𝗙cie𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗄 did. It's going to be not so obvious and very subtle and very hard to really know, just like with fake friends, right? I did a whole video on fake friends. It isn't easy to recognize the signs in the beginning, and especially when we're very vulnerable and trying to get help. That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Hi, my name is Sandra Wyllie. This is my mental health channel, where I talk about my own personal struggles, having borderline personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and depression. I talk about narcissism and my narcissistic abusive mother. I talk about schizophrenia, and I wrote a whole book of my childhood memoir, Life Growing Up, Life with My Schizophrenic Father, also about my traumatic brain injury and autistic son, Alex. I talk about my unethical therapist who sexually exploited me and had sex with me, and who I'd taken to licensing boards. But mostly I'm a patient advocate here to help other people not feel so alone in their own struggles with their own mental health issues. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot diagnose you or give you a professional opinion. And all I ask in turn of you is your kindness and respect in the comments. Now let's dive right into how we can tell if a therapist is fake. All right. First of all, if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. You know that saying, "Oh my God, this guy is perfect. He has it all." You know, it's just too good to be true. It is. If something seems like this therapist is available 24/7, I can text him any time of the day and night. I can call him any time of the day and night. He's always around. That's just not. He seems like a superhero, right? Like Superman or a Spider-Man. He's gonna, at an instance, he's gonna change into his costume and go fly, you know, through the sky or on a spider's web, and he's gonna come and scoop me up and rescue me. Or like Underdog for us real old ancient people. Underdog! I hear you! And, all right. A lot of therapists go into the profession who have superhero fantasies. What is a superhero fantasies? Well, maybe in their childhood they had someone like a mother or someone who was in a who had a mental health disorder who they couldn't help, and they felt helpless as a child, that they couldn't help their mother or their father or some other figure in their life. So they, most therapists have traumatic childhoods. That's why they become therapists, because they're trying to fix themselves. So then they go into the profession thinking that they can rescue everyone, but it's not their job to rescue their patients. It's not their job to fix their patients. A therapist's job is to help you help yourself, okay? Give you the tools that you need so that you can take care of yourself. So you won't need anyone else out there. You won't need the therapist. You can fire the therapist and say, hey, you know what? I got this. I'm good. But a rescue hero therapist is a form of a fake therapist. They try to rescue their patients, and what they are enabling, and Dr. Richard Geist did this in this book right here. If you haven't read it, it's a 5-star book. It got a great review. Love Bombs by a Harvard psychologist. Dr. Richard Geist had rescue hero fantasies where he would try to be superhuman, like a superhero, superhuman powers, right? And a person cannot do that for long. Why? Because it's going to lead to burnout. They are not a superhero. They are a human being. They have a life outside of the therapy. This Dr. Richard Geist told me that one of his patients thought that they were his only patient because he made them believe that fantasy, that he was that patient's that patient was his only patient. So he made people believe in fantasies. He encouraged fantasies. He encouraged me to have sex with Dr. 𝗵𝗂𝗃𝗏, Emails of an Unethical Psychologist, Sexually Exploited by 3 Psychologists. He encouraged my sexual fantasies, like, being chained with a leash and a collar. He not only encouraged it, he enabled it. And this is bad therapy. This is fake therapy. It's not real therapy. This is not how real these books, if you read any of these books, right? This is not how real therapy is, okay? It's fake therapy. It feels good. It feels like a drug, right? Like when you take a drug and you get high and you feel like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I always want to be this high. But it's fake. Right? Just like a drug. The high is fake because you come down from that, and what happens? You need more of it to get the same effect, and then pretty soon you're addicted, and then you can't function without it. You can die without it. I mean, a lot of people are going through have to be in rehabs. They have to be hospitalized. It's just a total mess. This is fake therapy. So if something seems too good to be true, if your therapist allows you to text, email, they're always available to you, that's a number one sign. Too good to be true, always available. Because a therapist is not supposed to be always available. Maybe in a crisis, that's fine. But a therapist is supposed to give you the tools for you to help yourself, so you don't need them. Just like a parent is supposed to teach their child to be able to function without them, because the parent is going to die. The therapist is going to either die or retire. The therapist is not going to be there throughout the patient's life, right? It's not going to happen. A good therapist will give the patient independence and tools so they can help themselves, not enable a codependent relationship, not try to fulfill a patient's sexual fantasies like Dr. Richard Geist did. And they are a human being. They're not a superhero. They have a life of their own, and they make that known. They don't talk about their life, but they make it known that I have my own life outside of my therapy, outside of my patients, where I have a family or whatever life I'm living. So that's a boundary. A therapist that does not have that boundary is a bad therapist, is a fake therapist. Many other therapists that I saw after I saw Dr. Richard Geist told me that he wasn't doing therapy with me. It was fake. It wasn't therapy. Another big red flag about how it wasn't therapy, there was no goals. Where are the goals? What are you striving for? Why are you here? What is our goal? You are here for this reason, and you want to achieve what? A, B, C, D. Once you achieve those things, then you no longer need me, the therapist. But if you don't set any goals, then what are you working toward? What are you trying to achieve, right? What are you doing with the time? And what I was doing with my time was just playing with Dr. 𝗳𝒂𝒶𝗵𝗲𝗄 and Dr. Richard Geist. It wasn't therapy. There was no goals in those therapies. It was just sexually acting out. French kissing, putting my tongue in Dr. 𝗳𝒂𝒵𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗲's mouth, that's not therapy. That's fake. Being led on a leash in a dog chain by Dr. Richard Geist. Is this therapy? That's not therapy. That's sexual exploiting. That's SA. That's not therapy. This is all fake. It might not seem as flagrant as that. Your therapist might just let you talk about whatever you want. Shoot the shit, without any real intention of getting better. If you just keep going to therapy and shoot the shit, talk about whatever you want to talk about, there's no goals. There's no plan of what you're going to do to improve the situation that brought you to therapy in the first place. You're just going in there and talking about whatever you're talking about, and then you go out and maybe you feel better because you got it off your chest, right? That's fake therapy. If I go in and complain, oh, my boyfriend, my husband is taking advantage of me, he's hurting me, he's verbally or physically abusive, and the therapist doesn't try to set up a goal or a plan so that, to get me out of that situation, and I just keep going in, talking about the same thing, whatever it is. Maybe it's an eating disorder. Whatever your situation or problem is, and you go in and you talk about it, and there's no goals or no course of action, of no plan of what you're going to do to improve your situation. You're just going to, vent, just to get it off your chest. That's fake therapy. That's not, your therapist is not your friend or your lover. Remember that. It's a one-sided relationship. They're never supposed to talk about themselves. They're not supposed to be your friend. They're never supposed to see you outside of therapy. They're never supposed to have sex with you, anything sexual, any touch. There's never supposed to be touch, maybe an occasional hug, occasionally, okay? But goals are supposed to be there. You're supposed to set up goals, a course of action. If you're just going to vent and your therapist just sits back and listens to you without doing anything, week after week, month after month, year after year, Dr. Richard Geist, 16 years, I turned into an alcoholic. There was no goals. There was no plan of action. Nothing. Fake therapy. That's fake. Superhero syndrome, where they try to have you totally dependent on them. Fake therapy. No goals, just shooting the shit or just getting off, you're getting things off your chest without a treatment plan. Fake therapy. Those are the two major red flags. Seems too good to be true. Always available. 24/7. Fake therapy. Therapy is hard work, all right? Because therapy requires you to make change, all right? If you're not changing, you're not doing therapy. That's not real therapy. It's fake therapy. Therapy is hard work. If it seems fun and games and acting out sexual fantasies, like making out with your therapist or being chained up like a dog and, or sitting across his lap and having him spank you like Dr. Richard Geist did to me. I'm sitting across his lap and he's spanking me. Or stripping totally naked for both Dr. Richard Geist and Dr. 𝗳𝒂𝒵𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏. Read these books. Emails of an Unethical Psychologist, Love Outside the Boundaries, Sexual Love Bombed by a Harvard Psychologist, Sexually Exploited by 3 Psychologists. That's fake therapy. That's fake. it's not going to help you. Not only is it not going to help you, but it's going to harm you. It's going to put you in harm's way, even if they don't do those violations, they're called. Even if they don't violate you and never touch you, if they're just letting you come in and talk and don't have any goals or a course of action, then it's fake. It's not real. If you enjoy it, if you've been in therapy year after year and you go, oh, I can't live without my therapist, they're wonderful, you know, that's fake therapy. It's not real. Therapy isn't supposed to be about that. Therapy is supposed to be about setting goals, changing, which is very, very difficult, you know, and not needing the therapist. That's what it's about. Your therapist is not your friend where you spend for, you know, talk to your friend and your friendship could last forever. I don't know, until a person dies or until the two of you don't think you have anything in common or life changes. But your therapist is not your friend. If they treat you like a friend, like Dr. Richard Geis and like Dr. 𝗳𝒵𝗵𝗂𝗲 by taking me to bars, your therapist isn't supposed to take you out to lunch or go on walks with you, or even if it's totally 100% platonic. They're not your friend. That's never what therapy is supposed to be about. Therapy is hard work, okay? It's about getting better. It's about change. You know, you're going there because you want an improvement in your life. I never got that improvement because every single therapist that I went to was a fake therapist. It wasn't really therapy. I never really got help because I never really got therapy, because all these therapists weren't really doing therapy. So those are a few of the signs, and I hope that you've walked away taking a little bit of something, learned something from this video. I hope so, because I certainly wouldn't want you to go through what I went through. In the end, it only harmed me. All right, it ends up hurting you in the end. It might seem like fun, and you know, you might have a crush on your therapist, on a guy or a gal, like, oh wow, they're giving you all this attention, they're listening to you, they're available all the time to you. It might seem thrilling, exciting, and fun, but in the end, it's gonna only end up hurting you, and you're gonna be much worse for it. Take it from one who's been there. Take it from me. I've been there, and it's just been disastrous. So if you are interested in any of these books, they're all available on Amazon. The link to them is down below in the description. If you'd like to help support my channel, the link to that is down below there too. You can buy me a cup of coffee. My email address is down there too. And if you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button on the lower right-hand corner. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video of mine comes out. Stick around, take a chance, give it a thumbs up. It's 100% free, so what do you got to lose? Please feel free to share my videos. You don't have to ask in advance on social media with your friends and family. And until next time, you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.